Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
And we're heading back 70 years to April 26, 1953. Bobby Ellis as Henry Aldrich in an episode of the Aldrich Family from their final season. We thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, and you know what that means, 26th day of April, 116th day of the year, 249 days remaining until we get to 2024. Confederate General Joseph Johnston surrendered his army to General William Tecumseh Sherman on this date in 1865 at the Bennett Place near Durham, North Carolina. 1865, Union cavalry troops corner and shoot dead John Wilkes Booth, President Lincoln's assassin, in Virginia. In 1933, the Gestapo, the official secret police force of Nazi Germany, established. 1938, the March of Dimes was founded to combat polio.
The fight against the disease of infantile paralysis has proven beyond a doubt that the way democracy works, the voluntary way, is efficient and is successful. Today, as in these many years past, we continue this great crusade, made possible not by a few large gifts, but by the dimes and the dollars of the people of the nation themselves.
President Roosevelt, whose founding of the march led him to being placed on the dime in 1946. And I'm going to say something here. I know there are a lot of people that are anti-COVID vaccine or anti-vaccine, period. And I will tell you this. I was back there in those days when I saw how many kids were crippled or worse, put into iron lungs for the rest of their life because of polio. This was a successful campaign to end polio, and it did. As long as we keep vaccinating for that stuff, and smallpox too, let's not forget that, we will continue to be a reasonably healthy society. 1962, Ranger 4 spacecraft crashed into the moon on this date. In 1972, President Nixon announced an additional 20,000 troops would be withdrawn from Vietnam over the next 2 months in an effort to get our country out of the no-win war.
My fellow Americans, let us therefore unite as a nation in a firm and wise policy of real peace. Not the peace of surrender, but peace with honor. Not just peace in our time, but peace for generations to come.
As American withdrawals continued, North Vietnam would gain momentum and Saigon would fall within 3 years. And to everybody who served in the Vietnam conflict, you have my appreciation, and you should have that appreciation of a grateful nation. It's just that the way the war was allowed to be prosecuted, it was not your fault if you served. It really wasn't. Now, 1984, President Reagan arrived in China for a 6-day visit, the third by a U.S. president since President Nixon's breakthrough trip in 1972.
Although we reside in far corners of the world, having a good friend is akin to having a good neighbor. The essence of that observation is as true today as it was when it was penned. In that spirit, President Lee, I come to China representing the sincere desire of the American people to be good neighbors to the Chinese people.
The freedom-filled speeches of President Reagan, which China promised would be aired live, were only ran in heavily edited portions. Once again, we reached out an olive branch to a country like we did with Russia, and you look at what's happened over the past few years. They have been slapped back hard, burned to the ground, if you will. Those olive branches were. 1991, 70 tornadoes broke out in the central U.S. Before its end, Andover, Kansas would record the year's only F5 tornado during that outbreak in 1991. In 2018, Bill Cosby found guilty of sexual assault. 2019, Marvel Studios' blockbuster film Avengers Endgame released, becoming the highest-grossing film of all time, surpassing the previous box office record of Avatar. Among those passing away on this date in history, the man you hear portraying Mr. President in that wonderful ABC show, Edward Arnold, actress Gypsy Rose Lee, Granny from the Hillbillies, fine comic actress Irene Ryan. You hear her on a number of other shows, including, as I recall, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. From Dallas, Jim Davis passing away on this date. Count Basie, one more time. Count Basie passing away on this date. Broderick Crawford passing away, results of a stroke on this date in 1986. Lucille Ball, we lost her on this date as well. The man responsible for In the Heat of the Night, the motion picture, and the Route 66 TV show, Sterling Silliphant, passing away on this date in history. From Lou Grant, a number of great radio roles, Mason Adams passing away on this date. The lady who sang about You're the Poetry Man, Phoebe Snow, passing away on this date. Singer George Jones, country legend, and Mrs. Steve Allen, Jane Meadows. All those folks of note passing away on this date in history. Born on this date, Chief O'Hara from the 60s Batman, Stafford Rep, and the teen idol Bobby Rydell recorded Wild One and Volare. Bobby Rydell born on this date. Turning 90 years old today, Carol Burnett.
As the stomach turns. When last we left Canoga Falls, Marion was grief-stricken at the loss of her only daughter, who dropped out of sight in a tragic skydiving accident.
If only she'd worn a parachute. Those silly kids, they'll never learn.
Left alone with her sorrow, Marion consoles herself as best she can.
Thank you for that bit of comfort, Reverend Felcher. See you Sunday. Oh, Marion. Marion. Oh, Marion. Black is your color.
Such a delight. Carol Burnett, 90 years old today, and all those great old shows are available on Roku. They're available on Pluto. They're available all over, so you don't even have to have a satellite subscription or a paid subscription. All you need is something like Roku to see these great shows. Carol Burnett, 90. I don't believe she did any radio, but I'll look and see. The man who played the song about the rebel rouser, dong, 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 Dwayne Eddy, 85 years old. The man behind the Midnight Express soundtrack and all those great Donna Summer singles, Jojo Mordur, is 83 years old today. The man who sang about the Dreamweaver, Gary Wright, 80 years old. The drummer for Duran Duran, Roger Taylor, 63. From Mad TV, comedian Deborah Wilson, 61. From Once Upon a Time in China, Jet Li, 60. From King of Queens and Kevin Can Wait, Kevin James, 58. Kane, the pro wrestler, and now the mayor of Knox County, Kentucky, Libertarian Glenn Jacobs, 56. First Lady Melania Trump is 53. From Smallville, Tom Welling is 46. And actor Channing Tatum is 43. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 26th day of April is their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 70 years ago, April 26, 1953, Bobby Ellis and the Aldrich Family. Thank you for tuning into this Wednesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with me, Wyatt Cox, here on your favorite radio station. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. Now from the final season of The Aldrich Family, Bobby Ellis as Henry. April 26, 1953, 70 years ago today, the delivery bike.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Yes, it's The Aldrich Family is transcribed, written by Clifford Goldsmith. The wonderful thing about the teenage time of your life is the fact that you can experience it twice. Once in your own growing up, and more or less continually thereafter, in the misadventures of your own or your neighbor's Henry Aldrich. The scene opens in the Aldrich living room. The time is evening.
Sam, I don't think you're looking at this from Henry's point of view.
You're quite right, I'm not. I'm looking at it from Mr. McCall's, or whatever his name is, point of view. And if you'll remember, Alice, I advised Henry in the first place not to take that job unless he was sure he could stick to it.
Well, dear, that's the whole point. Henry isn't working tonight because he isn't supposed to work. He's taking Eleanor to the spring dance at the country club.
Yeah? Well, then what's all the fuss about?
Well, there isn't any fuss. Mr. McCall down at the drugstore phoned a few minutes ago and wanted to know where the bicycle is.
The what?
The bicycle Henry delivers packages on.
You mean he's lost it?
Oh, no, Sam, of course he hasn't. The bicycle is right out on the front porch.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing, dear. Except that Henry didn't understand that he was to return it tonight. And don't you think Mr. McCall could be reasonable and let him bring it back tomorrow? Because there isn't any other way to get it back. Is there?
Alice, you aren't by any chance leading up to the suggestion that I take the bicycle back, are you?
Why, dear, that hadn't even entered my head. Would you want to?
I would not. And Alice, if his employer wants that bicycle, Henry should take it to him no matter how far it is.
But, dear, do you think his employer realizes that Henry is only young once? And that this is one of the most important dances the club is having all season?
No, I don't imagine he does.
Do you?
Do I what? Yes, I realize a boy is young only once. And a man reaches my age only once. And I'm going to sit in this chair and read this paper and not deliver any bicycle.
Mother, are you too busy to fix my necktie, please?
Oh, no, Henry. Sit down on the arm of this chair while I straighten it.
Okay. Did I just hear you and Father talking about Mr. McCall's bicycle?
You did.
Well, look, Father, be sure to remember this. When you first push back on the brake, your feet will go all the way around once, but the second time around, you'll stop. At least you'll usually stop.
I won't stop at all.
You won't? You mean Mother didn't have a chance to explain things to you?
Henry, if I gave you the impression that I was going to ask your father to take that bicycle back for you, I'm afraid you misunderstood me. Well, I'm going to ask Mary to do it.
Mary? Mary isn't even here.
Well, she will be. She'll be back any minute.
Well, are you sure? Because I feel very responsible for that bicycle. And Eleanor. And the dance.
Well, you haven't one thing to worry about. Now, you run upstairs and put your coat on.
Yes, Mother, sure. Thanks very much.
Oh, Sam, did you see that?
Did I see what?
How conscientious he is. Why, he wouldn't even put his coat on until I assured him that Mary would take care of the bicycle.
All right, Alice, just so Mr. McCall gets it back tonight.
Oh, Sam, you talk as though returning a bicycle were the most awful problem in the world.
Mother!
Oh, yes, Mary, I'm coming.
My goodness, Mother, look at what I've just done to my brand new stockings.
Mary Aldrich, how did you do that?
On that old bicycle out on the front porch. And, Mother, I was planning to wear these stockings to the dance tonight.
Well, Mary, you didn't tell me you were going to the dance.
Well, Mother, don't you remember I told you at breakfast this morning, and I'm late as it is.
Well, you mean you haven't time to...
I haven't time to what?
Oh, nothing, dear. You're only young once. Go on up and get your clothes changed. I've got to put in a phone call.
Number, please.
Elm 232.
Elm 232.
Mother, don't you think it'd be all right if I tell Henry he has to pay for these stockings?
Oh, Mary, Henry only earns 50 cents for a whole afternoon's work. And those stockings cost 98.
No, Mother, they cost $1.15.
Well, that makes it worse. Aren't you ashamed?
Hello, Mrs. Brown speaking.
Oh, hello, Elizabeth. This is Alice. Is Homer there?
Why, just a minute, Alice. Homer, you're one on the telephone. Alice, while he's on the way down, I want to ask you, did you know about the Allisons' party?
The Allisons? Are they giving a party?
Yes, dear. I understand they've invited scads of people.
Oh, really? When is it?
It's tonight.
Tonight, Elizabeth? Well, aren't you invited?
No. Oh, you mean you want either?
Well, no. No. Well, I guess you and I just aren't included.
Well, isn't that terrible? Oh, I'm not surprised about myself, Alice, but after all, you've entertained the Allisons.
Well, that's the way things are, Elizabeth. You never know.
Oh, just a minute, Alice. Here's Homer.
Hello.
Homer, can't you say hello, Mrs. Aldrich?
I didn't know it was Mrs. Aldrich. Hello, Mrs. Aldrich.
Hello, dear.
Mother, could you be lacing my shoes? How are you, Mrs. Aldrich?
Homer, how would you like to earn a little money?
Some money? Boy.
Well, it won't be very much, but it'll probably come in very handy.
Okay, sure. When do you want me? Tomorrow morning?
No, dear, tonight.
Tonight?
Yes, dear, you can do the whole thing tonight.
Well, I'm not working tonight, Mrs. Aldrich. I'm meeting Agnes at the country club.
You're going to the dance? Well, are you sure you wouldn't like to do just one little errand?
Oh, gee, no, I've got to save myself to dance.
Well, I suppose you're only young ones.
What's that?
Nothing, Homer. Goodbye, dear.
Mother!
Oh, come here, Henry. I'm afraid I have something I have to tell you.
You have, Mother? Boy, how do I look? How do you like my hair this way, huh?
Henry.
Gee, I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate your fixing things up for me. Are you sure Mary will be back in time?
Mary's already back. The only thing is
Boy,
that...
Mother, there isn't another guy in this town who has a mother that... You know what I mean?
Well, Henry, you don't have to hug me quite so tight.
Oh. What was it you wanted to say to me?
Why... Nothing, dear. You go right on and have a good time.
Okay, good night, Mother.
Good night, and don't stay out late.
Okay, and you explain to Mary how responsible I feel about that bicycle.
Well, hello there, Mrs. Aldrich. Don't tell me you're out wheeling a baby this time of night.
Good evening, Mrs. Hoover. No, this is a bicycle.
A what?
A delivery bicycle. It has a sidecar.
Oh, yes. Well, I recognized your face, but I couldn't place the sidecar.
I'm just bringing it over here to Mr. McCall's drugstore. It's very good exercise.
There's something I can do for you, madam?
Why, yes. Are you Mr. McCall?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I've just returned your bicycle for Henry Aldrich.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, where is Henry? I got a couple of packages for him to deliver.
Tonight? Well, I didn't know he was supposed to...
Why did you think I wanted the bicycle? I understood the boy was responsible.
Mr. McCall, let me make one thing clear. Henry feels most responsible about his work here.
Yeah? All right. Can you get him on the phone and tell him to come down here?
Well, I'm sorry, but he left the house before I did.
Yeah? You his sister?
His sister? Why, I'm his... Oh, do I really?
Yeah. Look, I've got a new store here, and I am trying my best to please my customers. A couple of orders come in, and I promise them, and then your brother lets me down. Now, what am I going to do?
Well, if Henry's going to be put in the position of... You mean I really look like... where did the packages go?
You mean you'll take them out for me?
Well, I'll...
There's $1.42 on this ice cream and 90 cents on this cough medicine. Yeah, and look out for the brake on the bicycle.
The bicycle? Oh, you don't mean I have to ride it, do you?
Lady, do you realize how far you have to take those packages?
Well, my goodness!
Hello, McCall's Pharmacy.
This is Mrs. Allison. May I ask about my ice cream?
This is who?
Mrs. Allison, over on North Street. And I have a whole dining room full of guests waiting for that ice cream you promised to send over.
Yeah, oh, yes, Mrs. Allison. The girl just left with it.
Gee, Eleanor, this sure is a swell dance. Boy, am I having a good time.
So am I, Henry. I never had a better time in my life.
Hi, Eleanor.
Oh, hello, Homer.
Can I have the next dance with you?
Oh, I'm sorry, Homer, but I promised it to Henry.
You have? Boy, am I having a bum time.
What's the matter, Homer?
Agnes, you know what she did? She was so anxious to get here, she ran out of her front door and rolled right down the steps. So she had to go back and change her clothes all over again.
Really?
I'll see you later, Homer.
Hello, Mary.
Mary? My sister?
Yes, there she is.
Was she coming here?
Hello, Eleanor.
Oh, Mary, did you have any trouble with that brake?
With what brake?
Well, didn't you notice how your foot flips off the pedal the first time?
My foot what?
Mary, don't you know? The bicycle.
I certainly do know about it. I tripped right over it, and you owe me a brand new pair of stockings.
I do? Just for taking it back to Mr. McCall?
For taking what back?
The bicycle. Didn't Mother tell you?
She didn't even mention it, Henry.
Oh, boy.
Henry, where are you going?
I'll be right back, Eleanor, just as soon as I get something straightened out. Homer. Hey, Homer.
What, Henry?
As long as you're waiting around for Agnes, how would you like to earn 50 cents?
Alice? Alice, are you upstairs? Alice? Hello, Sam Aldrich speaking.
Sam, this is Alice.
What's that, Alice? When did you leave the house?
Why, quite a while ago, dear. And, dear, I hate to bother you when I know you're reading your paper, but I'm afraid you'll have to come over and get me.
Get you?
Yes, I have a flat tire.
You mean you took the car?
Oh, no, dear.
Oh, we know, don't we? April 26, 1953, The Aldrich Family on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 70 years ago today follows these messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're here with an episode this hour of The Aldrich Family and the Delivery Bicycle as it was originally broadcast on Sunday, April 26, 1953. In the newspapers of that Sunday 70 years ago, these were some of the headlines. President Eisenhower interpreted Moscow's latest peace statement yesterday as a possible sign that Russia may be ready to do something concrete about making settlements with the Western world. The president's reaction was disclosed by Press Secretary James Haggerty, who issued a statement which at the outset made clear he had talked with the president about an editorial in the Soviet Communist Party newspaper Pravda. It might be a first step towards something concrete, Haggerty said, and if it is, the Kremlin will find the U.S. and other free nations ready to work unceasingly for peace. Wayne Morse, the Oregon Independent with the ready tongue, wound up a record 22-hour and 26-minute speech in the Senate yesterday and then told why he quit, saying, "I had finished all I wanted to say." The wiry 51-year-old legislator smashed all the unofficial records for marathon talking in the Senate, a body given to lengthy debate. His stated aim was to dramatize his opposition to a bill to establish state ownership of oil-rich, submerged coastal lands. Meanwhile, an implied threat to hold a Sunday session next week if the submerged offshore lands bill is not disposed of in round-the-clock Senate meetings starting Monday was voiced yesterday by Senator Taft, the Republican of Ohio. After an all-night session that began Friday morning, Taft agreed to recess at 4 p.m. until 11 a.m. tomorrow. Now, Senator Douglas, the Democrat of Illinois, reminded the Republican that tomorrow was Sunday and asked if he did not believe in the biblical reference to devoting the seventh day to rest. Taft replied he believed in it this week, but was not so sure about next week, and agreed to recess until 11 a.m. Monday. General Douglas MacArthur's restatement of his program for settling the Korean War and all other pending global issues yesterday brought congressional reaction ranging from hearty support to outspoken disapproval. A number of legislators took the view that the MacArthur plan might be worth serious consideration later, but not right now. In a letter to Senator Byrd, the Democrat of Virginia, made public Friday, the former Far East commander called for a notice to the Chinese communists that their bases and supply lines would be destroyed. The giant Joppa, Illinois steam electric plant, allegedly sabotaged only 2 weeks ago, has started funneling power to the Paducah, Kentucky atomic energy plant, that according to plant officials. Joseph Cooperman, the general superintendent of the Joppa plant, said the plant would begin sending a full-scale load within 2 or 3 days. And those some of the day's top news stories, as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, April 26, 1953, on your radio, The Aldrich Family, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You what?
Nothing, Sam. Just forget it. Goodbye, dear.
Alice, what are you talking about? Alice, where are you?
Hello, can you hear me, Mother?
Yes, Homer, and I'm sorry, but your father says he absolutely won't help you out.
But, Mother, doesn't he understand what's happened? Henry gave me 50 cents, provided I go over to his house and get a delivery bicycle he has and take it to McCall's drugstore, see?
Yes.
And just after I took the 50 cents and bought some punch with it, who do you think showed up?
Who?
Agnes, with a different dress on. And before she'd even dance, she had to have some punch. Boy, she went right through 20 cents. And I wondered whether Father wouldn't be willing to deliver that bicycle for me, provided I give him part of next week's allowance.
You're afraid Agnes will be hurt if you leave?
Well, sure, wouldn't you be?
Well, dear, I'll have a talk with your father. Only he has his shoes off, and you know what that means.
Yeah, but, Mother, you know how to handle him. See, all you have to do is talk to him the way you do, and you can get him into his shoes.
But don't worry, dear. You go on with your dancing. After all, you're only young once.
Get over on your own side of the street.
Suppose you get over on your side, you...
Alice Aldrich, is that you on that machine?
Harriet! Ah! Look out, I'll run over you!
What's the matter? Can't you stop?
Not the first time I back up my feet. There. Now help me off.
Oh, Alice Aldrich, may I ask what you're doing?
Harriet, you're just the person I want to see. Could you take this package of ice cream into the Allisons' house here?
What are you doing?
Delivering packages.
Packages? For the poor?
Harriet, the Allisons are giving a party in there, and I have got their ice cream, and I haven't been invited. And, well, so you'll just have to take it in for me.
But, Alice, I'm late for a bridge party over at the Andersons.
But don't you understand? Dressed the way I am, I can't go into the Allisons.
And frankly, neither can I. They'll only think I'm trying to crash their party.
Now, Harriet, do you remember on your 13th birthday when you were too bashful to ask Bill Townsend to your party, and I did it for you, and you swore you'd do anything in the world for me any time I asked you?
No.
Harriet, you did.
I did not.
Well, anyway, you're going right over by Maple Street. Could you at least leave this bottle of cough syrup at 227?
Oh, is it important?
It's very important. You see, Mr. McCall just started a new drugstore, and Henry's trying to help him out.
Well, all right. And, Alice, if you don't want to see the Allisons, why don't you just leave the ice cream on the front porch, ring the bell, and run?
Because there's $1.40 due on it. Oh, and there's 90 cents due on the cough syrup. And don't lose it in the bridge game.
Hello, McCall's Pharmacy. Lady, I sent that cough syrup out nearly 40 minutes ago. I've got a new delivery girl, see? And she... What? What's that? Oh, yes. Well, when the girl gets there, you give her the other bottle you want refilled and tell her to bring it back here. Forget it. No trouble at all. Goodbye.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Something I can do for you?
Well, could you tell me, have you seen my wife this evening?
Your wife?
Isn't this where Henry Aldrich works?
This is where he's supposed to work.
Well, what I mean is, did my wife bring a bicycle down here?
Oh, you Henry's brother-in-law? How do you do?
I beg your pardon?
I don't want to complain about your wife, sir, but I sent her out with some packages nearly an hour ago.
Some packages?
And I've got some more for her to take out, and she hasn't come back yet.
You mean Alice, my wife?
And what I want to know is what you're going to do about it.
What I'm going to do about it?
I thought your family was the kind that could be relied on.
We are the kind that can be relied on. That's why we're helping you out.
What do you mean by we? I haven't seen you do anything yet.
What's that?
Listen, I'm going out and deliver a couple of these orders myself. You stay here and take care of the store.
What's that?
And if there's anything you can't find, just ask.
Ask? Ask who?
Eleanor, do you mind if I suggest something?
What, Henry?
Well, let's hit this next dance out.
All right.
As a matter of fact, let's go out on the porch and get some air.
All right.
Boy, do I feel good. Ever since I got Homer lined up to take that bicycle back for me. It just goes to show.
What goes to show?
Well, I mean, if you've got a job, see, and you're conscientious about it, it pays. Now, I was just talking to Mr. Scott a few minutes ago, and he asked me whether I wouldn't like a job working for him.
Really?
Provided I can give him some good references. Gee, I wouldn't hesitate a minute asking Mr. McCall for one.
Henry, isn't that Agnes Lawson?
Where?
At the end of the porch there in the moonlight. Oh, and who do you suppose that boy is?
Hey, let's walk down and see. Wait till I tell Homer. Just wait till I tell Homer.
Now listen, Henry, you keep away from here.
Homer, is that you?
Come on, Agnes, let's get away from it.
Yeah, but Homer, how about my bicycle? Don't you realize my whole reputation's at stake?
April 26, 1953, The Aldrich Family on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thursday's Classic Radio Theater, we go back 69 years to April 27, 1954. Jack Webb in an episode of Dragnet entitled The Big Lift. A gang of shoplifters led by the mysterious Arthur is specializing in suits of clothing, preying on Los Angeles department stores. That'll be on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I have to tell you that NBC did not go down without swinging against the powerhouse that CBS had lined up on Sunday nights. They had Jack Benny, Amos and Andy, Edgar Bergen, and Charlie McCarthy. And NBC had My Son Jeep, followed by the Aldrich Family, and then Phil Harris and Alice Faye. So you still had some pretty strong shows. But Jack Benny, awfully hard to beat on the radio, awfully hard to beat on TV, too. April 26, 1953, 70 years ago today, The Aldrich Family on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Now getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Because she's decided her son is young only once, Mrs. Aldrich has consented to run an errand for Henry in order that he may go to the country club dance. The scene opens in the Aldrich front hall. Homer Brown's father is on the phone.
Hello. Hello,
Mrs. Brown speaking.
Elizabeth, this is Will.
Who?
Will, your husband. I can't find that bicycle of Henry's.
Oh, did you look all over their yard?
I walked into every tree out there, and there's still no sign of it.
Well, where are you now?
I'm in the Aldrich front hall. And Elizabeth, I'm in my house slippers, and I'm standing in water.
In water?
Well, I can't be responsible if they aren't more careful where they put their vases of flowers.
Well, dear, you just got to find that bicycle. Homer says Henry was very much concerned about it being taken back. And he won't enjoy the dance one bit if he knows you've fallen down on him.
Well, I'll give him 10 more minutes, and then I quit. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hold your horses! Hello.
Hello, is this you, Father?
Homer, where are you?
This isn't Homer, it's Henry.
Oh, it is. Well, this is Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown? Gee whiz, how did I get the wrong number? Goodbye, Father. Goodbye.
Oh, wait a minute. Where's your bicycle? Hello? Hello?
Excuse me, but could you give me some information?
What is it you'd like to know, lady?
Well, have you any idea where number 227 Maple Street would be?
Let's see now. Isn't it this house right here?
No, I was just in there, and they haven't had a cold all year.
What's that?
227 Maple Street. Ordered this cough syrup, and I'd like to get rid of it so I can go to a bridge party.
How about the house next door?
Oh, I tried that one, too. They said they don't think there is any 227.
Let's see the address on your package.
Here you are.
That's 227, all right. Or 277.
It's what?
And that certainly says Maple.
Or is it Marble?
Marble Street.
Don't get discouraged, lady. You're on the right track.
Now then, I'm sorry to keep you waiting, lady. Is there something I can do for you?
Yes, sir. I'd like the chocolate frosted.
A chocolate what?
Frosted.
Oh. That's something to drink, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's made with chocolate syrup, milk, and ice cream.
Yes? And that's all?
Yes, and then you put it in that mixer.
Yes, well, that sounds easy enough. Now then, lady, we'll get a glass. Here we are.
Oh, isn't that a Sunday dish?
Oh, I see. You want a big drink?
That's right.
Well, now, here, how's this size?
Oh, my goodness. Do I get one that big?
I think this is a drinking glass. Couldn't be just an ornament, could it? Now then, let's see. I guess the logical thing would be to start with the chocolate. Chocolate. You wouldn't be interested in strawberry, would you?
No, thank you.
I got strawberry right here. Lemon, sarsaparilla. Maybe they keep the chocolate in one of these bowls. No, that's the cherries. How would you like to have me throw a cherry in?
No, thank you. How about that other bowl?
This one?
Yes, what's in that?
Well, I never saw anything like that before. It's sort of a lather.
Isn't that whipped cream?
Oh, so it is. It's been a long time since I've seen any whipped cream. We're both wrong. It's mayonnaise.
Isn't that chocolate right here?
Oh, yes. Good for you, lady. Well, here we go.
My goodness, isn't that quite a lot of chocolate? Are you going to have room for the milk?
Well, if we don't, we'll get another glass and I'll drink part of it.
Haven't you ever done this before?
Not as a general rule. Actually, I'm a lawyer.
Oh, and you have to take this job nights.
Well, I have to take it tonight anyhow. Now then, let's see. Here's the ice cream. I wonder what they take it out with.
Well, isn't there a scoop?
No, and I certainly don't want to use my hands.
Oh, my goodness, no.
Oh, here's the scoop right here.
Is that vanilla?
Oh, yes. You can't fool me on vanilla. Well, the ice cream won't come out of the scoop.
Well, all you have to do is squeeze that little jigger and it drops right out.
Yes, I realize that. But for some reason, would you excuse me a minute while I go out and back and see whether I can find a screwdriver?
Good evening.
Good evening. Are you Mrs. Allison's maid?
I am. Don't tell me that's our ice cream.
I'm afraid it is. I was a little delayed on the way.
You were delayed? Wasn't that you I saw standing right out in front of the house for the last 15 minutes?
Yes. I was trying to get some boy to... Oh, that is, I'm sorry, but here's your ice cream. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it.
Thank you.
And there's $1.40 due on it.
All right. Now wait right out there.
That's just what I intend to do. Oh, Amy.
Yes, Mrs. Allison. He's finally here, and they want to collect $1.40.
All right. Tell the boy I'll be right out and pay him.
It isn't a boy, it's a girl.
A girl?
Yes, ma'am.
Now then, young woman, here's your $1.40 and 10 cents for yourself. Although you've been so long getting here, you certainly don't... Oh, my goodness, is that you, Mrs. Aldrich? Why, yes. Good evening, Mrs. Allison. Where's the young woman I'm supposed to give this to? The young woman? The one who brought the ice cream. What did she do? Go on back to the store? Well, yes. Yes, I guess she must have. I'm so glad you decided to come. Where's Mr. Aldrich? Come in. Oh, no, I couldn't think of coming in. Why not? We'd love to have you. You're just in time for ice cream. No, thanks, Mrs. Allison. As a matter of fact, I don't know why I came over at all. Was there something you wanted, dear? No, just forget the whole thing. Goodbye. Goodbye. My goodness. Did you hurt yourself, Mrs. Aldrich? No, I just fell over my bicycle.
Say, isn't there anybody in charge of this store?
The clerk just went around and back again.
Oh, yeah?
He's been mixing you chocolate frosted for the last half hour. He ran into a little trouble.
Oh. And Mr. McCall, hello there.
I'll be right out.
Well, have a minute. I got to get back home.
Now then, what can I do for you?
Well, here's what I want to ask. That bicycle... Sam Aldrich.
Hello, Will Brown.
What are you doing in that apron?
Why...
Sam, I can't find Henry's bicycle anywhere. Where is it?
Oh, that's all right. Alice has it.
Alice has it.
She's out delivering.
She's what? Listen, Sam, have you bought this drugstore?
Mr. McCall! Oh, Mr. McCall! Oh, my, Sam Aldrich.
Harriet, where did you come from?
Sam, I finally found 227 Maple Street, but the lady says I can't have my 90 cents until I get this bottle filled for them.
What's it for?
I don't know, but I've got a bridge game waiting.
Well, just a minute, Harriet. Hello, McCall's Pharmacy. Good evening.
Oh, Mr. McCall, this is Henry.
This is who?
Henry Aldrich, remember? I've called up to say I've resigned.
Henry, this is your father.
Is that you, Father? Gee whiz, how did I get the wrong number? Goodbye.
Henry.
What about my frosted chocolate?
Just a minute, lady. I'll be right with you. Here, Will, get behind the counter here and give me a hand.
Who, what?
Mr. McCall! Oh, Mr. McCall!
Is that you, Alice?
Sam Aldrich, how did you happen to leave the house in a dirty apron?
You want me to get chocolate all over my suit?
Dear, have you got $1.40? Because if you have, give it to Mr. McCall right away because I'm quitting.
You're what? Hello, McCall's Pharmacy. Good evening.
Is this McCall?
It is.
This is Henry Aldrich, Mr. McCall.
Henry, don't you know your own father when he speaks to you?
Listen, Father. I thought you said this was McCall's. How do I keep getting the wrong number? Goodbye.
Henry! Wait.
Yes, Father. Do you want me?
Why are you quitting your job down here?
Because I've got a swell one with Mr. Scott.
Doing what?
Oh, it's nice outdoor work, mixing cement. Don't you think Mother would want me to take it?
Now, Henry, you're not getting your mother mixed up in any cement.
The Aldrich Family is transcribed as written by Clifford Goldsmith. Henry is played by Bobby Ellis and Homer by Jack Grimes. Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich are House Jameson and Barbara Robbins. Your announcer is Dick Dudley.
April 26, 1953, The Aldrich Family on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Wednesday. Do me a favor, visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, see places where you can download our shows, find our social media links. You can buy me a copy. That helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and maintain our distribution channels. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.